with. Drew Yang Gang, that's who I hooked up with. Drew Yang Gang, that's who I hooked up. Yo, there's no place to hide now that he's arrived. I'm saying he ain't playing now with this campaign. Bang, dang, it's and Drew, come roll with the Yang Gang. Drew Yang Gang, that's who I hooked up with. Drew Yang Gang, that's who I hooked up with. Drew Yang Gang, that's who I hooked up. Yo, there's no place to hide now that he's arrived. I'm saying he ain't playing now with this campaign. Bang, dang, it's and Drew, come roll with the Yang Gang.
Hello, nerds. Nerds for humanity. It's been a while. I know last week I was streaming like a madman because, of course, we had a very exciting election. And now I feel like things are simmering down a bit. Not to mention last week I was able to take a few days off from work. Decided to take some vacation days to cover the historic election. But now we're back to normal. And we got to get ready for the long haul, folks, because 2024 is going to be a battle. But before we get into 2024, we should kind of wrap up 2020. So much time has been spent talking about, did Trump lose by a lot or a little? Obviously, he lost now. I think Biden has 360 electoral votes. And if you believe Kylie McEnany and Kellyanne Conway in 2016, when Trump got 306 electoral votes, that was considered a landslide and a unprecedented victory, the likes of which the country had never seen before. And so I guess if Biden won by 306, then he has a landslide. I mean, in reality, Biden did not get a landslide. He flipped a lot of states, but barely. And so there's no huge mandate for a massive transformation of the country. If anything, the mandate's just that people don't want Trump, but they're actually okay with some Republicans in the Congress, additional ones, and holding on potentially to the Senate. Any rate, I wanted to spend a little bit of time on this live stream talking about the congressional races, specifically the ones that were endorsed by Andrew Yang and the Humanity Forward movement. I mean, certainly a lot of us volunteered for some of those candidates, and a lot of us donated to them. So, it sort of seems appropriate to kind of just figure out, like, okay, what happened to them? Did they win? Did they lose? If they didn't win, did they come close? And you could argue this will be useful for the future to kind of, really think about how we, as potentially a movement in support of things like basic income and a lot of the ideas that Andrew Yang has, are we picking and being strategic enough, and also are we casting a wide enough net to support a broad array of candidates? So let's just see how everybody's kind of fared, and just want to say hi to a bunch of regulars. So we've got Landline 51 is in the house. Hey, Landline, how you doing? And we've got BTS Dance Studio, who often comes on to into the live chat. Welcome, BTS. And we have a lot of other folks. Looks like we're about 36 people at the moment. And let me know where you guys are joining us from. I'm coming to you from the San Francisco Bay Area, just kind of in the heart of Silicon Valley, but curious where everybody else is. I was also watching some of the Million MAGA March. That's interesting. I saw some interviews with people in the crowd. They're definitely coming to very different conclusions than many of us are. I think they really do believe that the election isn't over. So actually on Friday, we had a big milestone where there were 9 Trump campaign cases that were either dropped or denied by the courts due to a lack of evidence and any kind of legitimate case to be made. So basically they were frivolous because they weren't even allowed to go very far down. The initial kind of presentation by the Trump campaign was considered insufficient and not a good use of the court's time. And then there were some cases where the Trump campaign actually withdrew. And then I think there was another case where I think in Pennsylvania, the Trump the law firm that the Trump campaign had hired quit. So that's where we are with the cases. But let's see what happened to our humanity forward candidates, and I will just shout out some folks in terms of interesting places. Say my name, QMD. Okay, San Diego, España, Cooper Marsh, the land of jamón. Love it. Orlando, my mom lives there. Very nice part of the country. I will say Florida doesn't seem to be totally on top of the COVID stuff, but maybe at the end of the stream, we'll do a quick COVID update. South of LA, I think that's Los Angeles, but it could be Louisiana, presumably. But I think it's probably Los Angeles. Western Colorado. All right. Well, welcome, everybody. We got Minnesota, Virginia. All right. Let's go on. Let's see. We're going to jump between the Humanity Forward list of people and the results. So the first one on the docket is someone who we had on the show, on the Nerds channel. We interviewed MARILYN before the election. She was pretty impressive, in my opinion. Was a mayor, MBA, graduate at HBC Business School, I believe, and sort of biracial, I think African American and Korean American. So how did Marilyn Strickland in Washington's 10th district do? She won, but let's see by how much. So we'll go to the results page. And as you can see here, Washington 10, looks like it was a top two Democrats, and a pretty good victory for Maryland, 52% to 38% with 9% write-ins. So very nice margin, and the New York Times has called it for Maryland. So congratulations to Marilyn Strickland for winning. Hopefully you will support basic income and a stimulus that has a lot of direct cash benefits, and not don't overdo the corporate grants to Ruth Chris Steakhouse and American Airlines or whoever else wants that money. Let's just give it to the people, Marilyn. And congrats again. We hope to see what you can get done in the next 2 years and beyond. All right. So that's Marilyn. We got one win. Okay. Next, Jermaine Johnson also won South Carolina 80. So I'm going to have to look this one up because I don't think South Carolina state race results. And let's see if I can find South Carolina votes.gov. Let's see here. General election. Election night reporting. It's loading. As you can see, we're going to pull up this in a second. Let me share my results screen for you. Hopefully I can find it. U.S. House. I think we would need to find the state. Is there a filter here? See if there's a filter at the top. Well, maybe I'll scroll then. He was in South Carolina 80. So we'll pull that bad boy up. State Senate District 2. Okay, we're going to go all the way down to District 80. Whoa, we're scrolling fast. District 37, 42, 47, 50. You would think I would have pulled this up in advance, but I actually did not do that. That would have taken too long. So bear with me. Come on. Oh, here we go. 80. Jermaine Johnson. View contest detail. Okay, let's do that. All right. District 80. And it looks like Jermaine had 11,540 votes, and the Republican Vincent Wilson had 7,500 votes. So that sounds like it's a win for Jermaine, 60 to 40%. So congratulations, Jermaine Johnson. Jermaine was one of the first people. He's been on this show many times. I'm going to take full credit for his victory. I think his interview with me on the Nerds channel was when he first announced, or certainly one of the first places he announced, and Andrew Yang endorsed him first on this channel. So we kind of got the scoop there. So thank you, Andrew, for sharing news on the Nerd Zone. And congratulations, Jermaine, one of my favorite previous guests. Hopefully we're going to get Jermaine back on again. I would definitely keep my eye on that guy. He might be going places, but we'll see. Jermaine, get some work done, bro. Let's see what you can do, man. Big time players make big time plays. All right, that's Jermaine. Ooh, Haley Stevens. I had not had an opportunity to interview her, but she won in Michigan's 11th. But let's see how close she came to that victory. So we're going to go House Michigan 11. Stand by for Michigan 11. Michigan. What? Why is that not showing? I'm going to have to look it up a different way. So she was U.S. Congress, Michigan 11. All right. Let's search for that. Michigan 11th Congressional District. Results. All right. Good old Google has it. New York Times did not. Not sure why, but let's just confirm. Haley Stevens got it. Woo, really close. Look at that. 50 to 48. She won by only 11,000 votes. Wow. So, you could argue good old Andrew Yang Humanity Forward endorsement might have been contributed to a little bit of that margin of victory. So congrats to Haley Stevens. And what you see here a little bit, if you guys aren't familiar with Haley, played a role in saving the American auto industry, worked in the Obama administration, and advocate of recurring monthly stimulus checks. Yep. All right. Congrats, Haley. We've got Mondaire Jones, who won. He also is a champion of monthly stimulus checks. So congrats, Mondaire. John Hickenlooper, not a surprise there. He actually was a presidential candidate, and he won in the Senate. Jeremy Cooney, State Senate, pledged to back basic income at the state level. So congrats, Jeremy Cooney. Grace Meng, New York City, New York 6th District, sponsor of the Emergency Money for the People Act. Love it. Well, we're getting some wins here. Of course, Tim Ryan. Tim Ryan has been on the show Tim Ryan is not quite there in terms of full endorsement of basic income, but he seems like he's warming up to it. Let's just say that. So congrats, Tim. And thank you, Tim, for being on the show. So cowbell to you, my friend. Anybody who's been on the show is going to get a cowbell. All right. Veronica Escobar, U.S. Congress, Texas 16th. Let's see. Veronica supports direct cash payments during the pandemic. So you see here, I think a lot of the, I guess you could call it a lot of the people that are supportive of cash relief during the pandemic, not quite universal basic income, one, and that might be sort of like UBI light, but you gotta start somewhere, right? So congrats, Veronica. Uline Yo, New York State Assembly, and not clear how hardcore she is on UBI, but she won, and obviously, if she's a self-described policy wonk, she has always an open invitation to come on to the Nerds channel. So congrats, Uline. Tony Vargas, Nebraska State Legislature. Let's see. Advocate for low-income communities in Nebraska, helping raise $2 million for COVID relief. Lost his father to COVID. So congrats to Tony. Stanley Chang, Hawaii State Senate. HLS grad. Honolulu City Council member. Champion of universal basic income. I love it. I love the folks who are not pulling punches and just full on, like, of course, the just direct cash relief during the COVID crisis is great, but part of the point of UBI is it's a permanent, consistent economic floor. It's not just when you have a crisis, but not everybody is as forward thinking as Stanley. So congrats, Stanley. I'll give you a cowbell, even though you haven't been on the show. Always nice to see Harvard alums doing well. Evan Lowe. Let's see. Ooh, Evan introduced legislation to pass UBI in California. Whoa, cowbell for that, man. Evan Lowe ain't pulling any punches. He's for real. Congrats, Evan. Welcome to the Nerd Zone through the screen share. Hopefully we'll get you on the show in the future. Hit me up if you want to come and talk. Alex Lee. Wow, look at this California, man. Love it. Youngest state legislator in almost a century. First openly bisexual state legislator. Ally fighting for UBI. Go, Alex. All right, Alex. Congrats, sir. Ron Kim. Wow, you almost wonder if Yang has inspired a lot of Asian Americans to run, which is super impressive. It's about time. So congrats to Ron in the New York State Assembly. And let's see, he got it was a re-election. Queens, champion for change. Isn't clear how deep he is into UBI, but hopefully, Ron, you will make it a priority. Christy Smith, California 25th District. Christy wants to work hard to make sure monthly stimulus checks during the pandemic. So another UBI light. That's great, man. We love UBI light. You got to get the numbers up. And why not start with pandemic basic income, and then we can talk about extending it later. So congrats, Christy. Donna Imam. Did she win? It says upcoming general. Let's see. Texas 31. Let me look up the results for old Donna Imam. Texas 31. Texas 31. And no joy in Texas 31. Let me share the results on that one. Share. That's too bad. Donna was pretty impressive. I think a lot of people thought that that she would have done well, and especially since Texas had that record turnout. And and in reality, with 100% reporting, she lost by 36,000 votes, about 35,000 votes thereabouts, 53 to 44. So that's a bummer. Donna's been on the show briefly, but she was definitely very impressive. And unfortunately, John Carpenter got more votes, and that's democracy. So unfortunately, no joy on Donna Imam. Let's see. The next was after Donna on this list was Kasim Rashid, Virginia 1. So let's take a look at that. Virginia. If I had to guess, Humanity Forward may have shared all their winners at the top of the page, understandably. Let's see. Yeah, looks like Kasim Rashid lost in Virginia. It would be so nice if I could share two screens at once. Lost in Virginia, by a pretty big margin, 58 to 42 in Virginia District 1. Now you wonder, what was Virginia District 1's results? Virginia District 1 congressional results, let's say 2018. Wonder how strong of a Republican district that is. It might have been a long shot for Kasim, but yeah, last time in 2018, I'll just show you guys. So I mean, this is an example where I think Humanity Forward was trying to cast a wide net, but you see this district 1 2 years ago also went Republican 55-45. So I will say that it was 58-42 this time. So even worse performance this year than last. So unfortunately, no joy for Mr. Rashid, but appreciate him giving it his best shot. I'm sure he spent a lot of energy and time, and hopefully, we'll keep at it. Then you had John Hoadley, Michigan 6th District. Let's see, Michigan 6. That went Republican 56 to 40. So pretty big outcome, pretty big loss basically for John, unfortunately. But the numbers are what they are. Kara Eastman, Nebraska 2nd. Let's see, NE2. That was a 50 to 46 for the Republicans. Now, Nebraska 2nd, let's see, in 2018. Nebraska 2nd, 2018. The results were loading. 51-49 Republicans. So that was a pretty close race 2 years ago. And this time, not as close, 51-46. So that was a tough one for Kara Eastman. And then you got David Kim. Of course, everybody knows David Kim. A lot of us had volunteered for the Kim campaign, California 34th District. So let's look at the numbers there. I think Mr. Kim did not win. Jimmy Gomez did, but look how close it was. Hold on. Let's look at the numbers here. 13,000 vote difference. 53 to 47. And I think Jimmy Gomez had like a 10 times advantage in terms of money. So as much as it sucks to see that David put all his heart and soul, and we just came up about 13,000 votes short, that's painful, because because I know David was a fireball, man, and he would have caused some good trouble in Congress. Hopefully, you could argue this is his first time running for Congress, as far as I understand. So if you came that close, 2 years is not that far away. So keep an eye on that guy. To come that close first time, it's pretty good. Okay, next you have Adam Christensen, who was also on this show, and he was an interesting dude. I really liked Adam. He was kind of I think he was like a soccer coach running for office, and he was running in a pretty red area. But let's see what happened. Florida 3rd District. Adam Christensen. He came, you know what? Like, he actually did okay. He had 43 to 57. So he lost by about 60,000 votes. So 57-43 for Florida District 3. The question is, what was Florida District 3 like in 2018? Because I have a feeling that Adam may have done better than his previous Democratic nominees in the last cycle. So last cycle ended up being 58 to 42. And this time it was 57 to 43. So yeah, maybe I was being optimistic. But unfortunately, Adam did not, he did a little better than the last candidate in 2018 running on the Democratic ticket. But unfortunately, close is not it's not going to count unless this is horseshoes and hand grenades. Then you have CANDACE Valenzuela from Texas 24. Let's see what happened there. Texas 24. Guys, you should prepare yourselves. We probably lost all of these ones, but the question really is, how close did we come? Oh, snap. Okay, so here's the deal with CANDACE. Daughter of Army veterans, first Latina and African American, so biracial, to serve on a school board, champion of STEM education, fighting for monthly stimulus checks during the crisis. How did CANDACE do? Let's see here. Look at this. Oh, she lost to the Republican Beth Van Duyne, but she lost by 5,000 votes. You almost wonder. Now, this is something where you wonder, like, wow, could we have turned out an extra 5,000 votes for CANDACE in Texas 24? Maybe. And this is one of those things where we as a movement have to ask ourselves, hey, how do we strategically focus our volunteer efforts around races that are more winnable? And you could argue that Texas 24 was more winnable. Now, the flip side is that some of the most winnable ones are with candidates who are not full-throated basic income supporters. And this is a kind of philosophical thing, which is like, okay, well, do you support this kind of like more moderate humanity forward candidate that can actually win? Or do you want to go for the hardcore, like a David Kim, who in some cases has a lesser chance of winning? Although I think David's case, he actually, I would say that was a winnable district. So I don't think it was anything around. I don't think anybody worked for the Kim campaign didn't use their time wisely. I think that was totally winnable, and we just came short. But what happened with CANDACE? I don't know any of us who volunteered for CANDACE, but maybe we should have. Who knows? So next we will. So CANDACE, sorry, man, that's a tough loss. Really close. Okay, Suzanne Hugg, State House, lower. I don't have LD 25, lower. I'm not sure what that means. Arizona State House 25. Let's see what happened there. with Suzanne Hugg. Arizona. She's been on the show. Very impressive, kind of nerdy, which we always appreciate. State House LD 25 results. This one is not as easy to pull up. Come on. All right, this is one of those where there's a lot of districts. Come on, pull them up. 25, I got to page through a lot of... Got to be a faster way. Let me find a different search result. That's too slow. Bear with me, folks. Did not happen for us, guys. Did not happen. Here's the results. Yeah, looks like there were 2 seats up for grabs. I'll share the numbers. Looks like there were 2 seats up for grabs, and they both went to Republicans. And she lost by, if she had about 15,000 more votes, she could have got it over the hump. As you can see here, she got the nomination, looks like unopposed, which probably tells you how hard of a district that was. And here you have it. The results are what they are, right? So unfortunately, no joy for Suzanne. Hold on one second. Let's see. And Suzanne was on the show, so sorry, Suzanne, but cowbell on putting it all out there and giving it a shot. Like, hopefully you will run again, because I thought you were an impressive candidate. All right. Nina Ahmad, Auditor General in Pennsylvania. I don't have to search for that one, but a PhD in chemistry. I already like her. Let's see what happened. Nina Ahmad, Pennsylvania, election results. Looks like Nina did not win. She got 3 million votes for Pennsylvania Auditor General. But as you can see from the numbers here, running out of battery. Plug you in. As you can see from the numbers here, she got 3 million votes, but her opponent, Timothy DeFore, got 3.275 million. And it looks like there was a, might be a libertarian that got 200,000 and a Green Party got that 76. So, you know, had the Libertarians and Greens voted Democrat, then they would have won just by the skin of their teeth, but not enough. So Nina Ahmad was unsuccessful in her run. She was a champion for basic income. She was endorsed by Obama and Yang. This is an example of where sometimes you split the vote and it has a result. Okay, Mike Epsy for U.S. Senate in Mississippi. Let's see what happened there with old Mike. Senate, Mississippi. Ooh. No, that was a loss. That was a 55-43 loss. Not even close. But you know, that's what happens when you run, I guess, as a Democrat in Mississippi. It's tough. Blair Walsingham. We've had her on the show multiple times. I believe she did not win, but let's see how close she came. I mean, for sure she was running in a a tough district. Tennessee is not an easy state to run in as a Democrat. Ooh, golly. Yeah, no, that was a tough loss. I mean, let's take a look here, guys. We gotta keep it real with the math. So Blair, pretty much, that's a blowout. 75-22 result. So you got to ask yourself, okay, well, how winnable was this? So if you go Tennessee District 1, congressional 2018, what happened last time in this district? This was a 77-21 victory for the Republicans in 2018. So the question here is, you know, as a movement, as much as we all love Blair, you know, this is not a district that this would have required a massive shift of kind of epic proportions. Now, I hope Blair returns again, because she's just a super authentic, real candidate that cares about people, and I feel can kind of cross party lines and unite people. But that district, man, that's just like playing the Seahawks in Seattle. You're not going to win. It's just too difficult, too much headwind, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Blair. I was hoping you would pull up a huge upset, but the numbers are just you're kind of going into deep red territory, let's just say. Okay, Colonel Mo Davis, North Carolina 11th District. Let's see what happened there. North Carolina 11th District. It looks like the Republicans won 55-42 there. So that was a loss. And then let's see what that looked like in 2018. We get better than 42 last time. Let's see. Last time we got 38. So we went from 38 to 42. So that could be a nice trend, but not enough. So that's what happened with Mo. Mo lost. Silver lining, he lost by less than the last guy, and so maybe there's a movement towards the Democratic Party in North Carolina, but not enough. J.D. Scholten. Oh, he's been on the show. Iowa 4th. So I'm guessing he did not win, but let's see how close we came. Iowa Congressional District 4th. Wow, the dog is jumping around. Can you take the dog out, Ryan? I'm live streaming. I'll be done in like 10, 20 minutes. All right. So what happened in Iowa's 4th district results? JD lost. Ooh, you know, let's show the numbers. They are what they are. This is we got to be real. Got to keep it real here. So JD lost 62-38 in the Iowa 4th. And Iowa 4th district results in 2018. What happened? We lost 50-47. So we actually did worse this time, because last time JD almost beat Steve King, who's a very famous Republican. But then Steve smartly left the ring, and then Randy, I think, is probably a little bit more reasonable, and old Randy won. So that's a bummer. but I wouldn't classify that as a crazy race, because if JD came so close last time, like, why wouldn't he try again? Then you had Therese McCullum, State Senate 49. Let's see what happened here. Pulling it up. All right. That one was 67-32. You know, as we go through these losses, you wonder if one of the I don't have time to go through all, because I actually have to take the kids out in a minute. But let me kind of just comment on a couple things. One is, you wonder if before endorsing, if Humanity Forward should say, hey, look, if you're amazing and you're great Humanity Forward values and humanity first policies, and you want to run, that's necessary but not sufficient. Maybe you have to have that, and you got to run in an area where in the last cycle you came with the Democrat came within 5 percentage points. And if you're running in a district where the Republicans are typically winning by 10, 20 points, then it's just not a great use of resources. This is something that I wish I had done on the Nerds channel earlier, which is done a scorecard of all the Humanity Forward endorsees, and then looked at the 2018 margins of victory. And then I could have said, hey, you know, these are the most winnable. These are the most kind of flippable, most contested. You know, you live and you learn. I think I was just trying to get the word out for as many Humanity Forward candidates as possible, and didn't want to, you know, try and just sort of, you know, discourage people. But, you know, that might be a lesson for 2022, which is, okay, let's make sure we run in districts that are winnable. All right, so let's see. I'm going to quickly scroll through to see if there's anyone else that was on the Nerd Show that we need to talk about. So far, none of these guys were on the show. Carlos was New Hampshire State Representative. So let's see what happened to that. Carlos was a cool guest. Results. Stand by. Loading. All right. Oh, no joy for Carlos. Unfortunately, he was running. Let me share the results. Got to keep it real. He was running, and it looks like, wow, all Republicans won. and Carlos was not even the strongest Democrat. I mean, he had 3,000 votes. You needed 3,800. So 800 more votes, but it's probably a pretty small district. He got 10%. The worst performing winner was 13%. So he was close. He was in the running. So sorry, Carlos, man. You're a young guy. You got a lot of years ahead of you. So hopefully you'll give it another shot. I know I enjoyed our conversation and getting to know you. Then you got, let's see, anybody else? Oh, Liam O'Mara. He was on the show. And he was a super kind of intellectual guy. He was a historian, if I recall. So let's see what happened there. California. Liam, he had a respectable showing. So he lost 57 to 43. I'll share. He lost 57 to 43, lost by 40,000 votes. Ken Calvert won. Now the question is, you know what I like to do, the 2018 results. So let's see, 2018 California District 42. 42, right? Let's make sure I'm, yeah, District 42. Okay, hold on. So in 2018, I'm guessing the Republican won by 57 to 43. And in this case, it was 57 to 43. So no movement there. I mean, you will say that for Liam, for a basic income supporting candidate to get 43 is encouraging, but you know, we're looking for W's here. And unfortunately, that wasn't one of them. Let's see, who else do we have in the nerd zone? Wow. Yeah. So that's it. So that's a quick summary. What are the takeaways? I would say the takeaways are that we have to be probably a little bit more strategic about who we focus our efforts on for 2022. So for sure, I will be putting together a spreadsheet in 2021 where we'll look at all the basic income supporting kind of yang gang for Congress people. And we're going to do a hard look at what we think are the districts that are winnable. And we should not assume that just because they get the Humanity Forward endorsement, that they're in a district that's, you know, eminently flippable. You know, this is the Nerds for Humanity channel. So I'm going to take a much more calculated approach and say, hey, you know, here are the ones that if I were you and you want to volunteer and donate to, these are the ones that you can have the most influence. And maybe we say, here are the ones that are great candidates who are amazing people who are spreading the good word. But if you're looking for them showing up in Congress, it's going to be a really steep climb. So we'll do that for the 2022 cycle. Last thing I want to do is two quick things. I want to go over some of the latest COVID statistics because it's pretty serious, but we can just look at like where it's most serious. And we'll probably also look at the, not just the, everybody likes to talk about the case rate, which is important, and the death rate, of course, which is really important. But nobody in the media, either the MAGA media or the Democratic media, talks about the positive infection rate, which is probably the most logical number to focus on. But so we're going to do that here because that's how we roll. Before we go into the COVID numbers, I just want to thank some of the members of this channel who make this content possible. So if you find this useful, please remember to like and share. And if you are not a subscriber, come join the family. And then if you really want to help keep this channel going, because now that the election's over, you know, probably not going to have as huge audiences as we did the day after the election, which was nuts. But consider becoming a member. You can just hit the join link on YouTube. And here are the people who have already done that. So let's start with the highest level. At the EVP level, we have Kristen Slevin. So thank you, Kristen, for your support. And then we have at the VP level, we have Mindful Skeptics, which is Boyce, Laura Lane, Patrick Dunn, Joshua Frick, Fat Lamb, VLAM, and JM Sapp. Thank you, guys. You guys have been with us a long time. Boyce is a recent VP. So welcome to the VP level, Boyce. Mindful Skeptics. So then we have Hardcore, which is the next level. And we have some new members, Stat Nerd and Dean L. and Robert Wu, and then some long timers: Yang Deng, Susan, Mona, Landline, Mr. History, Byram, Jekalego, Kirsch, Phoenix Congress, not DK Metcalf, Tracy, David, Gene, and Mike. And then at the entry level, which is only $1.99 per month, I think, verified nerd, we've got Ira, Miles, Hui, Nell, Stephen, Brad, Jalopy, Aaron, Emma, Brenda, Anna, Joel, Spirited, KM, Bike, James, Blair, Jessica, Ryan, Rasta, Tony, Vaughn, Elizabeth, Christina, Lisa, Shake and Make, Doris, Nell, Mike, Gail, Richard, Roger, Ben, Lori, Soldier, Emerald, Jadwiga, Sophia, Hitachi, your mommin. Your mom. Peter, Arez, Sugar, Albert, Brandon, Yes, Brian, Helen, and Lisa. So thank you to all the members who make this channel possible. All of the money does not go to my glamorous lifestyle. It goes to supporting the content, like our podcast hosting fees, the streaming software I'm using right now, also like some design costs for our merch. And then going forward, if I can save up enough, we also did a big ad campaign on Yang Speaks to promote the channel, and we'll be doing future ad campaigns, basically grow the audience. The bigger audience we can get, we can attract even higher profile guests for our one-on-one interviews. And also it helps us support the candidates in the 2022 and 2024 cycle, because we'll have a bigger audience and can channel more energy in their direction. All right, so now let's take a look at some COVID statistics, and then we'll wrap up. So here is the latest. This is a very small visualization, so I'm going to make that much bigger for you. Okay, so this is as of this minute, November 14th. You know, this is the number of cases, and obviously, I guess this is a new record for us. We've never had more than 100,000 cases. Frankly, the peak before was in July of 60,000 cases a day. And on November 13th, we had 181,000. So 3 times the number of cases as the peak in July. And as you remember, April, when everybody was freaking out about toilet paper, there were 34,000 cases a day. So we are, you know, 5 times higher than when people were freaking out. And then if you look at deaths are up to, it used to be just under 1,000 or around 1,000. And obviously now we are at 1,400, 1,389 deaths on November 13th. And that is a 34% jump in the 14-day average. And you see number of hospitalizations also going up by 41%. So I know the president likes to talk about, oh, well, the only reason we have more cases is because we're testing more. I don't know if that means like that you'd expect to see more people showing up in the hospital and dying just because there's more tests. But, you know, that's the president's math. So where in the country is this the most concerning? Let's take a look at where we're seeing the biggest issues. And I think I'm going to go to here, and hopefully you can see the US map, which is loading. Come on, map. Seriously? There it is. Where are the hotspots? Definitely, and this is as defined the number of cases per 100,000 people. So this is adjusted for population size. Because if you look at just total cases, you would think, oh, this is just a problem. It's a coastal problem. This is not a problem of like good sort of rural Americans, right? This is just those big cities like Seattle and Los Angeles and New York and Miami. But when you look at, but that's just because there's more people that live there. Now, if you look at per capita and you look at the hotspots, the daily cases per 100,000, now, and you adjust for population size, you see, oh, wait a minute, this isn't just some coastal, multicultural, elite New York City, Miami problem, right? This is a problem in the heartland. And remember when the president first dealt with this, he said, I'm not going to institute policies for places like Wisconsin if this is a problem in New York City. You know, you can't apply the same rules. Well, it turns out that humans in Wisconsin and Michigan are just as susceptible to contracting a coronavirus as humans in San Francisco's Chinatown and New York City's Chinatown. Turns out that humanity doesn't care what race or party you belong to, or whether you're in a blue state or a red state. That virus is going to get you if you don't take active measures to mitigate it. You know, it's not a political thing. This is just like freaking, you know, you guys know. All right. Now, if you look at, so that's the per capita. Now, what I wanted to show was also how it looks over the rest of the world. I mean, we're not alone. This is the global count here. Globally, there are 53.4 million cases that have been reported, and there were 650,000 new cases on November 13th, and almost 10,000 deaths globally on November 13th, and about 15% of them came from America, and that's up 36%. So this is not a, you know, kind of like U.S. only problem. And this is where you see Europe kind of like took their eye off the ball in the summer. I remember I, as you guys, some of you know, I lived in Europe for the last 4 years and moved out of there the summer. And when I moved out in the summer, people were traveling like it was back to normal. And this is what happens. So that's, you know, Russia, which claims they have a vaccine, is not looking good either. And then when you look at the per capita, I mean, this is looking bad. Now, if you're in Japan, you're actually looking okay. You're only losing 1 in 67,000 people. If you're in Korea, you're only losing 1 in 100,000 people. But if you're in America, you're losing 1 in 1,000. So you guys catch that? 1 in 1,000 are dying in America. 1 in 67,000 are dying in Japan. And 1 in 100,000 are dying in South Korea. 1 in 3 million are dying in Taiwan. But again, 1 in 1,000 are dying in the US. Now, you might be saying, well, those Taiwanese, those Japanese, you know, they're kind of crazy. They're always wearing masks. Well, why not? If it helps prevent you from dying, just wear a freaking mask. I know it doesn't look super cool, but being healthy is cool. Being healthy is patriotic. Now, you might be saying like, well, it could be cultural differences. Those Japanese, they don't like to shake hands, like to bow. You know, we need to shake hands. We need to hug. Well, you know, we're North Americans. We're a different culture. Okay. I see that argument. But then you got to wonder, like, well, why are we dying 3 times more than the Canadians? They're 1 in 3,000. We're 1 in 1,000. Are the Canadians somehow turning into a bunch of Japanese? Are the Canadians starting to speak Mandarin? Are they eating, kimchi jjigae? No, they're North Americans. And they only have 1 in 3,400 dying. We have 1 in 1,000 dying. We have 1 in 31 people infected. They have 1 in 129 people infected. So it's not just like, oh, the Asians are hardcore and they are anti-freedom or whatever. Like Canadians, you know what? They have a national policy. It's not that big of a deal. If you have a national pandemic, maybe there should be a national policy. Maybe you shouldn't just have every state have like dealer's choice. Anyway, so the other thing I want to show you guys is the infection rate, not just the number of cases, because a lot of MAGA people will say, oh, you know why we have more cases, Tom? It's because we test more. We are the best in testing. That's why we have more cases. America. Okay. We do test more. We do test more. But explain this to me. Explain this chart to me, my MAGA geniuses. Why is our positivity test rate going up? If you test more, the percent of people testing positive should not be going up. If anything, it should be going down. So let's just be clear. Just a little less than a month ago, for every 100 people you tested, you got about 4.8 coming positive. Now, for every 100 people you test, you have 11.7 testing positive. Why are all these people coming in, getting tested, now showing positive, double the number of people who were showing positive last time, even when you account for number of tests? Because you're dividing the positive test cases by the number of total tests taken. So no longer should be affected by number of tests conducted. If anything, it should be going down, because as you test more and more of the population, in theory, if this has gone away and we've already turned the corner, we shouldn't be finding all these people with positive results. And yet every day there's more and more people as a percentage who are testing positive. Now, let's be fair. Let's not hate on America, okay? Because we are not the only country that has a problem with this. So if you look at Canada, how is this not alphabetical? Seriously? Where the hell is Canada? There it is. Oh, it is alphabetical. Okay. Canada is also going up, even with their kind of better mitigation. Now, they're at 7% and we're at 12%, or they're at 8% and we're at 12%. So they are we have about 50% worse of a job than they are doing, but they're also dealing with this. And I think this is one of those things where it's because it's getting colder and people are hanging out inside. Now, if you look at, let's say, see if I can pull up Taiwan. Taiwan, on the other hand, has managed somehow to really keep a lid on their infection rate close to positive test rate, close to 1%. Right here, that's the comparison: U.S., Canada, and Taiwan. Now, we talked about the Europeans kind of taking their eye off the ball. So let's look at our brothers in the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is almost as bad as us, but still, they're more like in the Canada category. Jesus, who is worse than us for positivity? Probably the French. I think the French have done a pretty crap job. Yeah, look at the French, dude. What is going on there? Jesus. 18% positivity test rate. Well, about, let's see if Switzerland is here. No, the Swiss data may not be in here. Oh, there it is. Yeah, love it. And Sweden. I know a lot of MAGA people like Sweden. Let's talk about Sweden. So Sweden is pretty much almost as bad as us at 10%. Switzerland is freaking like 30% positivity test rate. Are you serious? I mean, are you serious? So this is where when I was in Switzerland, they had it under control, but then they wanted to reopen. Oh, you're asking what website this is. It is ourworldindata.org, and I'll put a link in the chat. And I'll also put a banner here if you guys are curious about that. So net, this is a huge problem. It is not going to go away. And while we're all encouraged by the vaccine, couple things. One, it hasn't been approved yet. Two, people need to get the vaccine. And we're going to need about 200 million people to get the vaccine. And I think they said the first installment might be maybe millions of vaccines in the next few months. So even for frontline workers, I don't think they're all going to get vaccinated in January. So you guys got to hunker down. We all have to kind of prepare for this thing being with us most of 2021, sadly. And we're going to need a leader that can make some hard calls and maybe take a page out of Taiwan's book and South Korea's book, and don't do what France is doing, because they're sucking. So any rate, the only other thing I would share is the election's done. I know a lot of people are saying there's fraud, but if you think there's fraud, then just follow the Trump court cases, because they're being asked to present evidence, and they've lost 9 cases in one day on Friday alone. So I think we're done, hopefully, and we have about 68 days till the inauguration. One thing that I will call out is John Kelly put out a pretty good and interesting statement the other day, where he's saying that the Trump administration's unwillingness to cooperate with the Biden transition could become an issue of national security. So again, this is not some snowflake from, Berkeley, California saying this. This is U.S. Marine Corps General John Kelly and former hand-picked White House Chief of Staff under Donald Trump. And what's he saying? The delay in transitioning is an increasing national security and health crisis. It costs the current administration nothing to start to brief Biden, Harris, Chief of Staff, and cabinet members. The downside to not briefing the new Biden team could be catastrophic to our people, regardless of who they voted for. Just as important are getting the landing teams into various departments and agencies that protect Americans, our health, and our way of life. Department of Homeland Security, Department of Defense, Intel Community, Health and Human Services, so they can begin to build the critical situational awareness essential for a smooth transition of presidents, if required. So this is not some crazy BLM Antifa activists. This is a U.S. Marine Corps general who worked for President Trump in the Trump administration, first as a Secretary of Homeland Security, second as Chief of freaking Staff, and prior to that as General of the United States Marine Corps. And he's saying that this president is jeopardizing American lives by not cooperating with the transition. Think about this, guys. Think about this. If you were at work and you're getting a new CEO and the old outgoing CEO is saying like, no, I don't want to talk to him. I don't want to show him where all the files are. I don't want to brief him on the latest data. Like, I'm staying. And then on January 20th, it all has to happen kind of overnight. You really think that's going to be a smooth transition? This is just terrifying that we have someone who refuses to admit that he lost. But even if you want to just kind of keep playing this game that you won, you're going to win in the courts, and I know Rudy Giuliani is on it and he's leading the charge, you could still do the transition work, and then if the courts grant you the presidency, then fine, then the transition work is no skin off your back. You stay in office. But most likely you're not going to win and you're going to lose. So even Obama invited Trump into the White House like the next day. Even Hillary conceded like the same night. A lot of people say that because of the Florida recount with Bush v. Gore, because it took longer for the Bush administration to ramp up, it contributed to the 9/11 crisis because the intelligence departments weren't able to transition smoothly. So shame on Bill Clinton for that. But let's not make the same mistake twice. So at any rate, that is the summary. Please hook a brother up and like and share this video now. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll be interviewing. Oh, let's see who I have on tomorrow. Oh, I think I have a COVID expert on tomorrow. Let me see. I still need to confirm because it was booked well in advance. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, we have Eva Lee coming on. And you might be wondering, who's Eva Lee? She is a researcher from with a degree from Rice University and a PhD, applied mathematician, but I think she has some analysis on COVID. She's a professor at Georgia Institute of Technology, and I think we'll be talking to her about her work collaborating with the Center for Disease Control on defenses against pandemic, and getting her thoughts on what's going on with this whole COVID thing, because it's clearly not just a US problem, and what should we do going forward. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye, nerds.